Today, we catch up with Jai Lewis and Tony Skinn from George Mason's incredible 2006 Final Four team. All right, Jeff Goodman here with George Mason, former Cinderella Stories, Tony Skinn and Jai Lewis. And guys, thanks for joining me. 15 years, you guys still look pretty good. 15 years, hasn't aged you too much.
No, I appreciate you having us on, Jeff. But yeah, 15 years seems like it was just about 6 or 7 years ago. We getting up there.
Yeah, we definitely aging. It definitely feels like it was just yesterday too, though.
What's the memory? I'll start with the easy one. What's the memory that sticks out the most about that run back in 2006?
Man, that's a tough one right there. I mean, just because we have so many different memories. But I would say just that last, I guess you could say the last 3 weeks of our senior year. Us, obviously, we were seniors, myself, Jai, and Lamar, and just the fanfare and just the campus and how it came alive during that run. That was probably the biggest memory that I have, just because, again, when you're not a big time school or a big time state school, you almost forget how big your school is. We were a commuter school that, had about 30,000 plus students. And when you think of those numbers, you think it's a pretty big school, but it didn't feel like it, through those years before the Final Four. And then you go to the Final Four and it's like, man, I didn't realize we had this many fans. And, they obviously supported us through that run. So just thinking about just our day-to-day on campus, getting from class to class, after the first 2 rounds of coming back and forth home, it was just, it was definitely, a different vibe on campus.
John, take me back. So you guys lose to Hofstra in the CAA semis, and you're watching the selection show as a group. Like, are you thinking at that point it could go either way? Like, we may be in, we may not be in?
Yeah, we definitely knew that can go either way. But just the way we played all year and our stats as far as, holding teams to a certain amount of points per game, or our 3-point defensive percentage, we was all ranked, I want to say, like top 10 in the country. So, we knew that we could compete. It was tough losing to Hofstra twice in 10 days. That was like one strike against us because they was also in the bubble. But we just had confidence in ourselves. That's one thing I want to say all year that we had was confidence, the ultimate confidence.
So, Tony, when you're watching the deal, and yours was a little bit different, we'll get into it in a second, but you hear your name called and you hear you're playing Michigan State of all teams. I mean, you knew if you were getting in, you were going to play somebody good, but what's your reaction as somebody that at that point you knew you weren't going to play in that game, correct?
Yeah. I was fighting 2 battles. Obviously the first battle for me was just, we had worked, like Josh said, we had worked so hard through the course of the year. We were a top 25 team. And despite us, obviously falling short to Hofstra, I thought that we deserved to be in the tournament. But, the NCAA, they take different things into consideration. And obviously with me being suspended, I knew that was going to have a part in their decision. So for me, the biggest thing was, man, listen, I know I made a mistake, but don't punish my team. Don't punish Coach L and the staff. And so it was just a big sigh of relief for me. Like, I didn't care if I wasn't playing or not, as long as we were there and I was a part of it. That's all I cared about. And so hearing George Mason being called, man, I still feel like I'm sitting between Coach L and his wife right now doing this interview. So it was just a big sigh of relief for me, just hearing George Mason knowing that we were going to be playing and have a chance to compete in what, at the end of the day, which is why we go to school to play in a national tournament.
So you get the 11 seed, and Jai, you're banged up, right? You're banged up going into this thing. Foot injury? What was it? Foot, ankle?
I had bad ankles all year. It was like every game I would roll with either my left ankle. If I roll my left ankle one game, I'm rolling my right ankle the next game.
That's because Jai loved it. A lot of people don't know this, but Jai is a big time shoe guy. I thought I was a shoe guy. Jai's a big time shoe guy, and Jai wanted to play in the fanciest kick. So that's a little down for y'all, man. He always wanted to play in something he should have probably not been playing in.
Y'all follow suit. Whatever I played in, y'all played in too.
Yeah, I listen. I will not second guess that.
So how'd you get healthy?
Yeah, How did I get healthy?
Yeah. Or were you not healthy?
Now, I wasn't healthy. When we played Hofstra in the semifinals, I could barely walk during shoot around.
Really?
I could barely walk from the hotel to the bus to the gym to shoot around. It got to the point where I couldn't participate in shoot around. Debbie didn't know if I was going to play. When I got taped up for the game, for the semifinal game against Hofstra, I had to get, like, you know how football players get spat, they get the tape outside their shoe. I was also, my ankle was taped. I had to fight to put my foot in the shoe. It almost came to the point where we were about to cut my shoe. But like Tony said, I'm a shoe guy. You're not cutting my shoes. So I had to force my foot in there. Then she spat my shoe. So I was really messed up that game.
Shout out to Miss Debbie Corbato, man. She's the best athletic trainer that's ever been created.
You didn't have a shoe deal like everybody else where you could you get unlimited amount of shoes. That wasn't the deal at George Mason until you guys went to the Final Four.
That definitely wasn't the deal. Definitely wasn't the deal, but we made it work though.
So, all right. So you beat Michigan State pretty well. Like, beat them. Tony, you're sitting there watching this thing. Then you get Carolina with Psycho T, with Hansborough. Going into that game, what are you thinking? I mean, did you have that confidence? Tony's coming back, Jai. You got past Michigan State. What are you thinking going into that Carolina game? Are you intimidated at all?
No, I think that's the one thing that people just fail to realize about this team is that the word intimidation really didn't exist for us. We're all inner city kids that see this type of competition, not just through the year, but through the summers. And so these guys, this wasn't our first time facing some of these guys. And again, when you're a top 25 team, that's played pretty consistently through the course of the year like we did, I don't think it really mattered. And when you knock off of Michigan State at that point, it doesn't matter who you're playing against. You're just gonna obviously prepare like the way you normally prepare as far as your own team and going into that game. I mean, we got down as much as 16 points, and that didn't frazzle us at all. When we were able to come back and obviously get that win.
Jai, what was it like going up against Hansborough?
I just knew going into the game, like, he played really, like, out of control, kinda, and I think that was his best gift, is playing out of control. And I think Will did a great job making him play under control, which he wasn't able to, do the things he normally do. So I think that was a big key going against Hansborough, making him play controlled and play slowed down. It seemed like one point in the game he got kind of frustrated, especially after Gabe blocked his shot. Really couldn't do much during the game.
So then you get Wichita, Sweet 16, and everybody's going crazy at this point, right? I mean, you're the 11 seed. Everybody loves the Cinderella story, right? I mean, they love it. So they're grabbing onto you guys, right? One of you guys was on the cover. Who was on the cover of Sports Illustrated?
Lamar. That was Lamar.
Lamar, right? He was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. So, like, has it blown up at this point when you get back in between, before your Sweet 16 game against Wichita? Has it completely gone off the rails?
Yeah.
Go ahead, John.
What we call jumping after we beat North Carolina. It took a while to get to class, meeting in the Johnson Center, the student center, where you get your food and stuff like that. I think that was probably my worst mistake, is going into the Johnson Center during the tournament, because I was getting stuck inside there instead of making it to class. But it was all good. We showed all the support that we had, not only on campus, but we had people who didn't even go to Mason come on campus and showing support and for what we were doing.
Did you go to every class, guys? In between, honestly, tell me, did you blow off any classes?
Yeah, I got the most of my classes. I got the most of my classes.
Yeah, I had Coach Caputo following me to class. So I made my way to class.
Hey, listen, we both know if Caputo is following you, you can get past him pretty easy.
Yeah,
he's not catching you if you want to shake him.
Nah, for sure. Nah, but it was like Josh said, campus was crazy, and the Johnson Center, which would have been just like a normal 5 to 10 transition to class, was more like a 30-45 transition to class, and we made new friends for sure.
Before we continue that interview, I have to let you guys know that it's that time of year again. We waited 2 years for this moment, and it's finally here. March's biggest tournament is back. Gonzaga is getting ready to run the table. Slippers are being fit as we speak, and our partners at DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook, are putting our listeners at the center of the action. How? If you bet $4 on an underdog in a select game this week, and that underdog wins, you win $256. That's right, $256. Here's how it works. Download the app now and use the promo code FIELD68 when you sign up. Scroll through the list of select underdogs, bet $4 on them to win, and cash $256 when they do. There's no better way for you to put your college hoops knowledge to use than to put your money where your mouth is with DraftKings Sportsbook. It's safe, it's secure, it's reliable, and you can deposit and withdraw your funds at your convenience. So remember, the code is FIELD68. That's FIELD68 to turn $4 into $256. For a limited time only, must be 21 years or older. Restrictions apply. Go to DraftKings.com for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. So you go in, you got Sweet 16, you got it around the corner. Like, it couldn't have worked out better, right? And you're playing the team that you had already beaten in Wichita in the Bracket Busters, right? You beat them at the Roundhouse. So, like, again, not that you would ever be intimidated. You already said that. But in this one, I'm assuming you're going in with, like, majorly confidence, aren't you, Jai?
Yeah, we're definitely confident. I say this might be the one game out of the games that we played that we was the most relaxed, knowing that we've actually played them and beat them. Of course, we played against Michigan State before the prior year. I want to say going into the tournament, that's probably our third time playing them, as far as me, Tony, and Lamar. And we also have played North Carolina before at North Carolina. But just knowing the fact that we went to Wichita State, played in a tough arena, tough crowd, tough game, won that game, and was able to become into the top 25, we already knew that we had kind of like, I want to say their heart a little bit, because they was a little nervous about how they was going to defend us. But I think we went in there overconfident and wasn't really too worried about Wichita State. That may be the one game where we were a little bit more relaxed than
Tony, what's a good story going into the Sweet 16? You know, you got all the media stuff, you got the build-up, the hype. Give me a good, like, behind the scenes story if there was anything that week.
I got one for you, and Jai, you got to help me out because you were my roommate. My haircut, my sneaking out for the haircut. Was that before UConn or was that Wichita?
I want to say that was before the UConn game.
No, because I think he put me back in the starting lineup against Wichita, though. Or was it UConn?
It was Wichita. You started Wichita.
Yeah, so, you know, obviously, you know, it was a home game for us, Jeff. You know, the Verizon Center is right around the corner from campus. Obviously, I'm a Washingtonian, so literally from the Pentagon to where my guy that cuts my hair is probably like a 13-minute ride. And so I needed a haircut. And I got out just in time before curfew. And I remember Jai calling me like, yo, the checking rooms, man, you got to get back over here. And so I don't even remember if I got the haircut, but long story short, I had to bust a U-turn and just get back on campus. And I got back in the room just in time before I was eventually taken back out the starting lineup for leaving the hotel. So that's a backstory.
I didn't know that.
No, I'm saying no.
Oh, you would have
to avoid that.
You would have.
I was trying to work my way back into the starting five, man. So haircut wasn't that important.
Right. Oh, well, probably back then it was, right?
Nah, it wasn't that important. Obviously, again, like you said, you know, going into a situation where we're playing at home, and having an opportunity to do something special. I mean, once we got back from that second round and we knew we had Wichita State with not just as much pressure, but just starting to have the conversation of if we win one or two more games, it's the Final Four. I just think, you know, everybody knew what was at stake. And even though I tried to get a chop, you know, I was fine with no shape up playing against UConn.
All right. So then you got UConn with the Final Four on the line. And everybody's like, all right, this was a fun ride, right? Like, I'm sure I was thinking that at the time. This is a hell of a ride, a great Cinderella story, but this is where it ends. Like, there's no way you guys are going to beat mighty UConn, right? Rudy Gay, they're big, they're long. Hilton Armstrong, Josh Boone, two long dudes that, you know, were highly recruited, all this stuff. What are you guys thinking? Because you're reading this stuff, right? I mean, you're reading it, and you know nobody's giving you a chance.
Yeah, we're hearing all the comments about how they don't know who we are, which a lot of us knew that they actually did know who we were because we played with them. We're kind of like, you know, the DMV, Baltimore area. Summertime, you're definitely going to play against these guys. So, you know, for them to say those things that they didn't know who we were, kind of put like a little fire underneath us and gave us that little extra umph to go out there and play the way we wanted to play and needed to play to come out with the win.
What was that game like, Tony? What was that game? Kind of go through it for me a little bit, because again, like down the stretch, it got it certainly, there was plenty of drama.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, you know, I just remember Coach L saying one thing, and I still use this, you know, to this day sometimes. You know, they were playing with so much more pressure than we were. At that point, we had gotten so far where it's, you know, we had done beyond what everybody in the world would think we would do as a mid-major program. And going into that game, I just remember us just, you know, we still had that same confidence. And it didn't matter if it was the 96 Chicago Bulls. We knew who we were as a team, and we just knew that at this point, we're not playing with any pressure. And so every possession, every time out, you just started to kind of feel that UConn was starting to feel that pressure a little bit. And it just got down to the stretch where, you know, again, we were such a balanced team, you know, myself and Jai, I don't know, maybe 14, 15 a game, but then you had some of the younger guys who also, you know, double-digit guys. So it didn't matter if you took Jai out of his game or if you took me out of the game, you still had guys that were going to step up. And I just remember, you know, getting down, and then all of a sudden, you know, Follower steps up, Will steps up, and, you know, you're looking at the clock, and you're looking around the arena, which felt like the whole home game with 17, 18,000 people wearing yellow. And you felt the comfort zone. And I just remember, you know, obviously getting down to the stretch, I missed the free throw that sent it into overtime. That was the longest walk back to the bench. But, you know, another extra 5 minutes that day, we were just a better team.
Yeah, there was like 5 seconds left. Didn't you miss the free throw?
Yeah,
and
missed the free
Brown?
throw. Denham Brown goes down. Yeah.
I mean, that game, honestly, I've seen a lot of tournament games in my day. That's up there. I mean, that is up there with the best I've ever seen, because you have the crowd, you have the thought of David versus Goliath, right? That's what it was. I mean, that's what it was built out to be. Right. And the way it ended. I mean, again, the drama, you know, going into overtime. And then how nervous were you, John, like at the end, even of overtime, they had another shot to win it?
Going into overtime, I don't think we was nervous at all. If you can look back at the game when we're walking to the jump ball for overtime, to start for overtime, you can see like we're already out there ready to go, ready for the ball to go up, and they're still trying to figure out what they're going to do going into overtime. So it was like we're prepared to go another 5 if needed be. And when that last shot went up into overtime, I was underneath the basket, so I could see the trajectory of the ball and seeing if it was good or if it was off. It just had that one little centimeter to be off that I knew that it wasn't going in, and I was already celebrating.
Tony, you got to go? You're on mute.
Yeah, all these guys are in the gym a little extra early, so it's starting to get a little noisy in here.
All right, give me 30 more seconds to wrap it. Give me 30 seconds to wrap. All right.
Okay.
All right. All right. Give me again when you guys beat UConn to get to the Final Four. Give me kind of what it's like at that point, guys. What is it like in the locker room after, and then obviously everything that you'd accomplished to get there?
It's crazy. You know, we just won the championship for our region. So, you know, we're excited about that. The fact that we beat the number 1 team in the country, the number 1 ranked, number 1 seeded team in the tournament. We felt like we couldn't be stopped at that time.
Partying? Like, were you able to enjoy it after, John? Like, were you able to enjoy, you know, the lead up to the Final Four? What was it all like? Like, how do you describe that week? Was it just a whirlwind?
I mean, it started right after we got back on the campus after the UConn game. It was like Tony said, it's like 30 to 40,000 people that go to our school. You know, we're really a commuter school, but when we're coming back on the campus, you see all these cars lined up around campus. When we're walking into the gym, it's 10,000 people in our gym already just waiting for us to come in. I mean, it started from there. Then all week until we left for the Final Four. You know, we got cameras on campus. I think following, maybe Tony might have had a camera that they had to document carrying around campus everywhere they went. So, it was crazy. A lot of media, a lot of people coming up. So it was really interesting that week getting to class.
The coolest thing that happened to you, Tony? Like, what was it through all of it? Like somebody reaching out to you that you'll never forget, or just a moment?
I mean, obviously, I just think overall, you know, especially for a mid-major program, just winning at that level just is so hard. And when you have a chance to win multiple games and, you know, make a run at the national championship, it's definitely a blessing. And as a 6-foot guard, the opportunities that it gives you is definitely something that, you know, it's undeniable. Having a chance to play in Portsmouth, having a chance to work out with several, you know, NBA teams before pre-draft, thinking that you might get your name called. These opportunities wouldn't have happened if we didn't make that type of a run. So it's definitely, I would say that's probably the biggest, just my biggest memory, having the opportunities that came after. And obviously the stuff that happens on campus and, you know, feeling like rock stars and stuff like that is definitely a memory. But, you know, it's safe to say I might not even be doing this interview with you if we don't make that type of a run.
Yeah, I mean, you feel that way too, John? Like your life completely changed because of it?
Yeah, I definitely got some opportunities from our tournament run. And then we're in the history books for the rest of our lives until
Yeah, for sure.
Which I don't see happening. Not the way we did it, at least. Not being 11 seed, playing against four of the previous national champions. You know, we probably had the toughest road out of anybody in any bracket that year. So we're set in stone.
Why do you think you guys were able to do it, Tony? What was it about that
well,
team?
I'm gonna say like this. I've been a part of some pretty good teams, been part of an Olympic team with Team Nigeria, you know, some really good teams professionally. I would say the core of guys that we just had a very, very tight bond on and off the court. And I know that's something that it sounds cliche, but there's a reason why, you know, we have a group chat now of, you know, 10 or 12 guys that were part of that team. And literally there's like hundreds of text messages that's being traded back and forth every day. And so I'd say you just don't always have that type of a unity. And we had that. We went through some, you know, some failures as underclassmen as a junior year. That very same team who only won 15 or 16 games committed and sacrificed and came back that following year, and everybody just kind of put aside just like their own self and sacrificed something, myself included, Jai included. And once we started winning and buying into that, and we like all of a sudden we're a top 25 team, it's like you're not going to go against the grain. And so I would just say just the sacrifice from, you know, the first guy all the way to the last guy on the bench, the sacrifice that we made, that's what made us a special team, because you don't always get that type of a dynamic.
Well, listen, I appreciate you guys jumping on. I know Tony's got a hit practice here in a minute, so I don't need Willard calling me later yelling at me.
No,
I really appreciate it, guys.